Hey there.
Yo.
How's it going?
I'm a little bit sleepy, to be honest.
Okay.
Because I slept in the hammock, and I'm not a hammock sleeper, to be honest.
No, fair enough. You gotta have a very, particular shape and like way of sleeping to be in one of those.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
totally.
you know why I slept in a hammock? Because there was a fucking cucaracha in my tent.
No,
and I wasn't able to
cockroach.
put it out in my tent because it was dark and fuck.
So you're like, I'm just gonna sleep
I'm
out with
like,
the mosquitoes.
That was the shittiest feeling ever. Like you're sleeping and then you feel this shitty thing crawling over your legs.
It's
like,
disgusting. And you're like, you don't know where it is. It's dark. You're like, fuck it. And you get up.
Yeah, nice introduction. No, but for real, I'm fucking sleepy. But I guess after or during this conversation, I'm gonna become a little bit more awake. Who are you? Who is the girl sitting right now next to me? It's the one and only Jessie, the yoga teacher in Buena Onda, and I had my first yoga lesson with her.
Yeah.
Shit. How dope is yoga? I didn't know that. I really did. I mean, I'm training karate, so there are some similarities, but still, it's a complete different thing.
Different.
Wow. Fuck. I was overwhelmed afterwards, really.
What was the experience that you had?
This complete feeling of emptiness, but not empty, just like being...
Space.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Wow. I felt so calmed down afterwards. Like,
good.
I mean, of course, I know it like after football, after karate, snowboarding, whatever, you have a refreshed mind after sports, But after yoga, it was kind of different. It was like... it sounds so cliche, but it is like that. In peace.
Yeah,
totally. I felt like completely in peace with myself.
Yeah, totally.
And
well, that's the whole point of yoga. Actually, like the word yoga, if you translate it and like what it actually means, it's called union with a supreme reality. So it's supposed to bring you back through your breath and alignment back to your higher self, to your true self. So that feeling of peace, that total feeling of like complete bliss and like surrender was literally you connecting back to your divine self. That's what it is.
Fuck. How come that you actually give yoga lessons, that you're a yoga teacher?
Why? Like, how did I get there? So I've had quite the journey actually with this. Thank you. I'll get right into it. I've had quite the journey. Basically, when I finished high school, I've always been very spiritual. I grew up on a very small island off the coast of Canada.
You grew up on an island?
I grew up on an island with 10,000 people, very small, very rural, like quite a community, very strong. We're very safe. We wouldn't like lock our doors at nighttime. All the cars would be unlocked. Like there was no kind of like violence or any kind of like robberies or anything like that. Like, it was very safe.
What is the name of the island?
Salt Spring Island.
Salt Spring Island.
Salt Spring Island. Yeah, it's actually one of the most beautiful places in the world. But so I grew up on this island. Very big yoga community there. My mom was meditating and we had a beautiful garden where we would have like fresh vegetables for dinner from our garden. I went to like a Waldorf school for a while. I had quite the like fairy tale of a childhood, like what you'd imagine like a perfect little, like for a child to be raised in by a farm, able to like just walk up the street and get eggs from the neighbors for $4, bring them back home without any fear of like, it was so amazing. So already that kind of shaped my path into the person that I kind of am today because I was raised that way. But I never really did yoga from a young age. I was never really into it. Like I knew about it and stuff, but I just thought it was stretching. And then when I was graduated high school, I knew that I just needed to go away. I needed to do a very big trip by myself. I didn't know what. I just knew that I needed to leave. So
how old were you, by the way?
I just turned 18.
18.
It was just fresh 18. So I moved off of this island and I packed a bag and I bought a one-way ticket to Spain. And I stayed actually with a host family up in this small village up in the north. And I taught their children English in their home. I was an au pair. So for 3 hours a day I worked and I didn't speak any Spanish at the time. And it was very intense. Like talk about a culture shock. It was insane. And because I was only working 3 hours a day, I had so much time on my hands, and I was in a new culture, I didn't speak the language, so I needed to build a routine. So I found this really cool 30-day yoga challenge on YouTube. And I was like, oh, this is cool. It was only like 17 minutes of video, so it wasn't like a big like hour or anything. It was for beginners. So basically I just started doing that for the month, and it became into my routine. And by the end of the month, man, like my whole world changed. Yoga became my therapy. I stopped needing to like call my mom at the time, crying to her because I was just like so overwhelmed by everything. And I started going within myself and realized it just created so much mental space within me, and it allowed me to slow down because I was moving so quickly, and it allowed me to process and see things in my life that I wasn't able to see before. So that was after 4 months of living there, and I was like, fuck, man, this is like incredible. I need to do yoga more. Just fell in love with it. So from there, I went to the Bahamas, and I went and did my yoga teacher training at
could be worse.
Right?
Yeah.
It kind of just came to me, and it was pretty amazing. I actually took my sister with me to go do it. So we did it together. We lived in a tent on the beach. We trained for like, oh man, our days were so long. We were up at 5:30 in the morning and going to sleep at 11 p.m. every day.
Sorry for interrupting you,
No,
but
it's
how
okay.
like it's not the most normal thing to go just to fly to the Bahamas and doing a yoga teacher thing there. Like,
No, I wasn't sure where I was going to do my teacher training, but it kind of just like I was open to like any kind of possibilities. And then I was talking to my sister because I was like, we should go do a teacher training together. We should go get our yoga teacher training. And she's like, yeah, I'll look some up. You look some up, and we'll find out something. We knew you can go do them in your hometown. Like you could do them in Canada. But you know what? I was like, I want to go somewhere exotic, somewhere different. I wanted to be in a warmer place, and you can do them for quite cheap around the world. So I started researching. She started researching. And I was staying at my mom's house in Toronto, and I got this pamphlet in the mail for, it was sent to the wrong address, and it was the ashram in the Bahamas for the yoga teacher training. And it was when I was thinking about this, and I looked at it and I was like, is this yours, Mom? And she's like, no, I don't know whose this is. And it showed up at her door, and I was staying at her house looking for places. So it was like super serendipitous.
Yeah.
So I called my sister, and I was like, hey, Alex, I was like, I just found this really cool thing. You should look at it. She's like, oh, dude, me too. I was like, really, what's the name? She's like, oh, it's the Shivananda Ashram in the Bahamas. It was the exact same one that I found, she found as well online.
Fuck my life.
So it was literally, that's how we ended up there.
Okay, that's a sign, definitely.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
My life is very much about signs.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, it's happening. So we booked a ticket. We went and did our teacher training. And then I just, from there, just kind of took off. Everything kind of just like, I went back 2 years afterwards, back to the ashram, and lived there for 3 months and did my karma yoga program, which is basically where you live in very simple life. You live in a tent. You work in exchange for food and accommodation. And I also taught yoga, and I was on quite the spiritual path at the time, like meditating an hour a day, chanting an hour a day, reading spiritual books. I was not drinking alcohol, no tobacco, no caffeine, so much inner work and teaching yoga.
I got 2 questions, regarding in general becoming a yoga teacher. Is there just one license of being a yoga teacher, or are there like more steps, like becoming better and better?
Yeah,
I guess
because
it's all about growing.
Yes,
in the end,
of course.
Like in life and in whatever. I guess in yoga are different steps as well, right?
Yeah, totally. So you start out with a 200-hour teacher training. So that's like, you have to do 200 hours with a certain school. It can be full-time or part-time. If it's part-time, it can take like 6 months or longer. If it's full-time, it just takes a month, and it's super intensive. So that's what I did. Then after that, you can do your 500-hour, which means you add an extra 3 hours on top of it, 300 hours on top of it. And you do it in different trainings. And there's so many different types of yoga. There's vinyasa and hatha and yin and ashtanga. So you can just keep doing teacher trainings to learn different types of yoga.
And like these different types of yoga arise from different cultures or communities.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And regarding this spiritual path that you took when you were not drinking anything and da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
What, like, was it like something completely overwhelming for you, or were you like just fine with that, like how you perceived life at that moment? Because you told me when you grew up on your island that you kind of were always in a spiritual family.
Yeah.
Fuck, my first question is like totally shit.
No,
because
I get what
wanted
you're
to ask.
saying.
No, I actually wanted to ask you something different.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I want to ask this as well, but doesn't matter. Because you told me that you grew up like kind of spiritual.
Yeah.
How come?
Because like, how did I grow up spiritual? My mom, the community I grew up in, it was just a very like conscious community. So like most people on this island are very self-aware, do a lot of meditation, do a lot of yoga, like that's just kind of the island that it is. So it was always surrounded me, and it was kind of the energy was always around me, but I didn't dive into my own practice very deeply until I kind of found yoga. And then it kind of just like completely expanded.
So although you had the early access to do self-awareness trainings, like being more aware, like in general practicing consciousness, you didn't do it that often.
I did meditation and stuff. Like I got really into meditation when I was young and did a lot of like, I was really interested in spirits and like, crazy stuff actually, like,
for example,
astral projection.
Astral projection.
Yeah.
What is that?
Astral projection is when you get into a meditative state that is so deep that you can actually leave your body and travel around and see places that are not in your own field of vision.
So you experienced this?
Yes, I've done it before.
You know, shout out to Pierre, the hostel owner.
Yeah.
Because he was talking about the same thing, like viaje astral.
Yeah.
So
astral projection.
And I was like, and he was telling it like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's
like,
fucking crazy. It's like the kind of thing that you hear and you're like, that's not true. Like, that's absolutely absurd. Like, how do you leave your body and go? But if you've ever listened to like any kind of near-death experiences and like any of those stories that people tell you, it's the exact same thing. Like we have the ability to actually leave our bodies and to travel around and see different things. But a lot of the time we're not connected enough and able to have those tools to actually allow ourselves to do it.
And when was the first time that you had this?
I was really young.
Experience?
I was 16. Yeah. So what actually happened? I'll tell you the story.
Yeah, I guess everybody is curious because it's not like...
Yeah, it's not...
I don't know anybody who did this except Pierre. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, totally. So I haven't actually done it too much since. I did it this one time and it was crazy. This is when I was really into meditation. Like I'd be meditating about 40 minutes every day in one sitting. I'd sit down, I get so deep into it to the point where your whole mind is completely open and vast. You can't feel any of your limbs. Your whole arms go numb, your legs go numb, like you don't know where your body is in space. You're so relaxed, you're so deep into this like alpha state. And you're very hyper aware of everything that's happening around you. So that's kind of the state of meditation like that I was in. So at this time of my life, my sister, who I'm very, very close with, she was living at home and she just left to go traveling. And I was missing her so much. So I would think I was quite upset. So I was meditating, just thinking about her and doing my thing. And then I saw her in my meditation. And it wasn't like I could feel, it's not like this thing where I could like feel myself lift out of my body and go somewhere. It was just more like a vision I had in my meditation when I was really deep in this state, right? I saw something. And what I saw was her getting out of a restaurant. She was wearing a blue shirt and black pants and this necklace I gave her for my travels. I gave her this beautiful angel necklace that's like my guardian necklace. And I gave it to her to keep her safe. And she's walking down the street and then she gets into a cab. And that's all I saw. And I was like, it was just kind of random. I was in my meditation and I woke up out of my meditation. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to call her. Like I miss her. Like I didn't think anything of it.
Okay. So
I called her and I was like, hey, Alex, how you doing? And she's like, good. And I was like, I just did a meditation. I was like, I'm just really thinking about you. And she's like, really? Yeah. She's like, I kind of felt it. And I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, where are you? She's like, I'm in a cab right now. I was like, what? I was like, you're in a cab? And I was like, yeah. She's like, it's like, where'd you go? She's like, I was just out for dinner. And I'm like, what? And I was like, are you wearing a blue shirt and black pants? She's like, yeah, how'd you know? Like, I full on saw her. Like, that shit, it's just absolutely wild. Like, it full on, like, it was crazy. And then I told her, I was like, yeah. And I was like, whoa. And I was like, I was totally thinking about you and feeling you. And she's like, that's so funny, because right before she was about to get into the cab, she felt a rush of warm, like a warm breeze almost, rush right at the necklace that I gave her, right through her heart. And she didn't think anything of it. She just felt this like, this warm tingle sensation. And she like paused for a moment as she was getting into the cab. And then she just got into the cab. And I was like, yeah, dude, like that was me.
My life. I mean,
so
I have
wild.
to admit that I never experienced something like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
so
pretty wild.
did you have that more often?
No,
after this experience?
I haven't, to be honest. Like, it definitely takes a lot of, you can't resist it. And what I mean by that is, like, it's so easy in life and day to day. Like, as we get older, we become more rigid and hard. Adults become rigid and hard, right? Children are very playful and light, and like teenagers too, like you're close to that young state. So we're open. Like, I took so many risks as a kid, like so many risks. Even when I was traveling, I would like travel with this. I didn't care. Like, it was just, I was so easy. And now I can feel myself being a little bit more conscious, a little bit more hard, just because of, I guess, society. And the older I get, just the more conditioning is put upon me. Yeah. So getting into those states, getting into that kind of type of connection with others in the world, you can't be rigid. You can't be hard. You have to fully let down your walls, fully let down everything, and just be so open. Like, and
sometimes it means to change your environment as well, right?
Yeah, totally. So that was a pretty trippy experience. And like, I don't even know what to say. Just freaking wild. Yeah. So wild.
I mean, I'm fucking curious. Of course, like when I hear something like this, I'm
you gotta look up near-death experiences. They're so insane.
There's a thing, when you're telling me this, there's a difference between you and Pierre, the hostel owner. Because, in my opinion, no offense to anybody. Yeah. Like, no offense.
Yeah,
but
of course.
When people are talking about things like these, especially like it's about spirituality, I kind of got this feeling that they're not here. That they're like,
they're kind of like,
they're kind of dreaming all the time. Yeah. Maybe it's the best thing ever. I don't know. But they're like, I just have this feeling that they're high, but not in a good way.
Yeah,
high.
Totally.
Not high of drugs in general.
I
totally they're like, get you. Whatever. And in your case, I got it that you're totally here.
I'm grounded.
You're completely grounded. And because of that, I believe you more. It's not like that you're just,
I feel like spiritual people, it's so funny because it kind of like, it can get to your head and you can actually become very egotistical about it. Like, it can almost become like, oh, I'm better than everyone else now, and I've had this experience, and I'm spiritual and no one else is, and I can only connect with people that are on my level, and I don't do this, and it becomes so like a personality that they bring on, and then it's not spirituality at all, and then you're just being like a douchebag.
Actually, yes.
Right? Yeah. So like, for me, my spiritual life, like my yoga, my meditation, everything, for me, it's all about balance. It's all about balance. Like, don't get me wrong, man. Like, I love smoking weed. I love cigarettes. I like having a few drinks. I like to party sometimes, but then I also love to, like, you can catch me, doing a silent retreat for 5 days and going into India and being absolutely completely silent and doing a lot of inner work. Like, you can see me in so many different modalities because it's about balance. It's all about balance. I'm not going to be doing yoga 15 times a day and I'm like, okay, I'm just the yogi all the time. I got to be connected 24/7. Like, no, I'm a fucking human being. We're not like that. Like, you're going to flow. You're going to have days where you feel sad and depressed like anybody else. Then you're going to have days where you're connected and feeling so aligned with the universe and everything's flowing and everything is aligning for you. That's just kind of, to me, that is like how to live a truly like abundant life, is literally just balance.
I share totally your opinion. That's something that I really like. I say it actually every day. Yeah. It's all about balance. Yeah. Elad, my Israeli brother here, is always saying, no, it's not all about balance. It's all about perspective. Okay, we can fight about it. But what is then health for you?
What's health for me?
Yeah.
The first thing, I haven't actually thought about that for like before. But the first thing that came to my mind was mental health. That's the most important thing, because I truly and honestly believe that all health, everything in the body originates from the mind. Your mind is the most potent, most like strongest entity that creates your thoughts, your beliefs, everything. It creates your entire existence. So if you have an unhealthy mindset, if you are not in charge of your mind and you let your mind be in charge of you, then it doesn't matter how much yoga or meditation you're doing. It's like, it's going to consume you. And like, that's
wow,
no, keep going. And like, the only way I can explain this is, how do you explain the difference between a woman that has smoked her entire life and has never gotten cancer and somebody who's smoked till they're 30 and gotten cancer? How do you explain the difference between somebody who eats junk food their whole life and eats fat and crap and stuff, and they've never had a problem, they have a great metabolism, and then somebody who has to watch everything they put in their mouth because they constantly gain weight? And you could totally say it's science related, and yes, I agree, it's definitely genetics, that all plays a part into it. But I guarantee you that those people that smoke cigarettes their whole life and that eat junk food, they're not fucking upset about it. I guarantee those people are happy and they love what they're doing. I guarantee that woman who smokes cigarettes loves every bloody cigarette she puts in her mouth. And I guarantee you that person that is eating junk food all the time loves junk food, and they're not feeling guilty about it at all. I guarantee it.
And I love you so much for this. Just for the way you explained it, because that leads me directly to my next question, because that's a thing that I'm struggling a little bit, to be honest, the last couple of days, and I've thought actively about it when we're doing yoga. What you said about these people who are loving to smoke the cigarette, to eat junk food, it means they're not judging themselves.
No, it all starts in the mind.
How do you do that you're not judging yourself? Because sometimes, I was talking to Elad, we were because it was his first yoga class as well, and we're like, okay, making this yoga exercise, everything cool, and you were like guiding us through this whole training, and everything was cool, but still, me and Elad, we had really, really often these thoughts like, fuck, I'm just thinking about something completely different. I'm like, I don't know, thinking about whatever, football or what happened yesterday, and like, and then I was judging myself, no, think no, and but that's already like wrong, right? To judge yourself in that moment, to think about things like these.
Well, it's not wrong. I mean, like, the truth is that the mind is, you're gonna have how do I explain this properly? The mind is like a monkey. It's constantly jumping around. It's going to be thinking about this, thinking about that, going here, going there, because the mind is actually, the reason we think and we're like analytical thinkers and we process and we're logical is for survival, right? That's why. Yep. That's why we're thinking. That's why, like, certain animals like don't have the same thought processes as we do and can communicate the way we do, but it's for survival. But we don't use it for survival. We use it for everything. And so it is almost like an autopilot thing where our thinking is not us. It's just the way the mind does it. It's just the way it's completely separate from us. So when your mind is jumping around like a monkey thinking, and you're all the way into the past or you're all the way into the future and you're thinking about something, but then you're judging yourself, the practice of meditation, the practice of mindfulness is not by judging yourself and being like, oh my God, I'm so silly. I'm not thinking about this. I'm not being here. It's literally just watching the thought pass by, or as soon as you notice that you're thinking, you just calmly and really gently just come right back to what's happening without judgment. You're just like, oh, okay, I'm back. So the whole thing of mindfulness is not about having no thoughts all the time. It's impossible. You're going to meet a monk. He's going to have thoughts. It's totally natural. It's survival. We're thinking beings. We go into past and future. The difference is the awareness and bringing your mind back to the present. It's just about coming from, oh, I'm back. Oh, I'm back. That's all it's about. Without judgment. And then as you do it more and more, as you meditate, as you're being more mindful, that gap opens up, and then you're like, oh wow, I've experienced a big moment, a big stretch of time that's very present. And now I'm here, I'm here in the moment. And then your mind wanders a little bit and you bring it back. You're aware. You're more aware.
So I will be able to reduce my
thinking mind.
My judgments in general regarding myself or others by just being aware of it, noticing it, and it's
so simple, and yet we make it so complex. It is the most simplest thing ever. It's literally spirituality. All of this stuff I'm talking about is nothing more than just awareness.
I'm reading currently a book the second time. I read it the first time before more than half a year. The Miracle of Mindfulness from Thich Nhat Hanh. Amazing guy. And I'm reading it now the second time because when I read it the first time, I was like, whoa, this is cool. But I didn't practice it a lot, to be honest. Sometimes in some kind of situations. And now I'm like reading a book. When I'm reading a book, I'm trying to write down some things, to highlight the most important things, and then to summarize the book afterwards, just to keep a lot of this stuff in my mind. And I try to turn that into practice as well, what I'm learning from the book. And of course, in terms of mindfulness, of course it's easy, but it's not that easy as well, because but still, it's all just a matter of creating your habits, and and in the end it's gonna work out definitely. And I'm really stoked for it, like the next days when I'm alone, just reading this book, just finishing once again, and like going back to
reprocessing
because I have to say that I'm practicing mindfulness every day at one specific situation, because he had a chapter, or this book has a chapter. It's called wash the dishes to wash the dishes. So washing the dishes in order to wash the dishes. So when you're like washing the dishes, just wash your fucking dishes. Don't think about, fuck, I have to wash the dishes because afterwards I want to drink a coffee, or I have to meet with somebody. When you are washing the dishes, be aware of it, that you're just washing the dishes. Be aware of it, like, for what are you that you're just...
Totally. Do you know that all addiction stems from that?
How do you mean?
Meaning that, like, anyone that has any sort of addiction tendencies, whether that be like thinking or cigarettes or whatever it may be, it's because they're not in that mindset. Because if you can truly enjoy whatever you're doing in the moment without needing it to reoccur right afterwards, and to kind of chase that feeling, and you're really present with it, there's no such thing as addiction. So being able to have a drink, have a beer, let's say, and you're not halfway through and you're like, oh shit, where's the next beer? And you're thinking about, when am I going to get the next one? You're thoroughly enjoying it in the moment. And when it finishes, you're like, oh, I had that experience, and I'll have it again when it's next time. I don't need to keep chasing the same experience in order to like squeeze every last drop out of this nectar.
And here we are again. It's all about balance. I have to admit that I'm completely imbalanced regarding one thing, for example, regarding drugs in general. I don't smoke, I don't drink, but I do drink sometimes. When there is a bottle of red wine, I drink my 2 glasses because I enjoy it. When there is gin tonic, I drink my 1 glass of gin tonic, but I'm not exaggerating. And that's something that always, it's not annoying me right now, but it annoyed me when I was younger, because I got really, really influenced by my father, who didn't drink at all until the age of 27. Then he started like a little bit like with the friends, blah, blah, blah. And I was always don't get me wrong, from 16 to 18, teenager, whatever. I drank as much as possible, whatever, not being aware of what are you doing. You're just doing shit all the time. And then with 18, I was just questioning myself what I'm actually doing. And then, I don't know, I went to the gym for half a year, and when you're going to the gym or doing sports, like consciously, you're like getting aware of some things, of the essential things, I would say. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna drink anymore. And if I'm drinking, then like it's gonna be one pint, one whatever. But I didn't get it why so many people, like, okay, young kids, but especially older ones, when I entered the work life, the job world, like it's all about alcohol, like, and getting drunk, exaggerating, not keeping the balance at all. Man, I was like,
well, you're trying to get somewhere, right? Like, you're trying, it's for a reason. Like, I just have a quote. For instance, like, a lot of times people don't drink for the sake of drinking, they drink to get drunk. So they're drinking, there is a goal at the end. They're trying to get somewhere. Constantly in life, people are trying to get somewhere. They're never present. They're never trying to be here. Think about even like sex. People are trying to like reach an orgasm. They're trying to like finish and be as fast as they can. It's not about the process through it. It's like, oh, I just want you to come already. And they're just like, I want, like that's like, for a lot of people, that's what it's like. Totally. Same with jobs, school. I just got to finish my degree. I just got to finish it. I got to get to this, got to finish it. Oh, I have to make enough money to get the house. Oh, I just have to finish it and then I can travel. I have to retire. Like it's always this goal that's far away and you're focused so hard on it that you're missing the entire ride to it.
The entire process.
And this is a really cool quote that I learned.
Tell me.
About this whole thing that kind of summarizes it in a way. If life was about getting to the end, no one would ever listen to music. No one would ever watch a dance. Because if you listened to a piece of music just to get to the end, there would be no point of the music.
Exactly. Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
It makes so much sense. And if the life was about getting to a goal, there would be no dancing, because dancing's not about getting to the end. It's about the whole fluid motion of it.
It's about enjoying the whole
process. That's it. It's just beginning to end. So like, fuck, it's just like, and sometimes it's so easy to just get in that mindset of like the hamster wheel and those things you want to get. And then all of a sudden you're moving really, really, really fast. Because everyone around you is moving fast and we're adaptable beings and we migrate and we feed off of each other. And so yoga, meditation, that's what it does, man. It literally just goes like you're in this hamster wheel, you're moving really fast and it just slowly, slowly, slowly stops. For maybe even like a minute. Maybe even it's like 20 seconds. Maybe it's not even anything. Maybe it's just like a micro moment of a just slow down. And the first thing you said to me when we sat down was you said, I felt this space. I felt this peace. That's what I'm fucking talking about. That is what I'm talking about. That was the goal. But like you weren't trying to reach that the whole time. It was just the process to get there. And like every time you do yoga, every time you meditate, you widen that gap. You widen that window. You clean it a little bit more. And then it starts to flow into your life, so that when you are pissed off about, you lost your wallet or something on the subway, or someone like crashes into you from behind, instead of reacting and getting into this agitated state, you're just like, oh, wow, yeah, no, it's the journey. I'm here. This is what's happening. I'm going to deal with it. It's all okay. Everything's working out for me. No problem. You just let it happen. You let life happen.
How do you think then in terms of goals, of setting your own goals?
Yeah, I think it's definitely important, but I think at the same time, like you have to, don't let it consume you. Mm-hmm. Don't let it consume you.
So of course it's allowed to be a kind of priority of yourself, but you should not just seek this
just that one thing. Yeah, because it's about the whole thing. And like the thing is goals can be so many different things. Like I truly believe that like there's so many pathways to get to a goal. There's not just one road. Mm-hmm. And each pathway takes a different amount of time. You meet different people. But they all lead to the same place. So just be present, be gentle with yourself, and just know that it's all going to freaking work out at the end. Always. But like, goals are important and stuff, like setting those things. I mean, if I didn't have a goal, I wouldn't have been able to save up money and do this trip.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Like that was important. But I allowed myself to enjoy myself in the moments when I was there while I was still saving and having this goal. I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I'm leaving soon. I'm going to spend time with these people I love. I'm going to be present. I'm going to enjoy this part of my life because later on, I'm not going to be working. I'm not going to have this routine and structure, and I'm going to probably miss it at one point. That working hard, that making money, like it feels so good to make money when you're making it.
When you're making it.
When you're making it. You're grateful for it, because then when you're in a place like this and you're just spending money all the time, you're like, oh, wow, I really miss like that feeling of just like saving up. Feels good because it's just balance.
I like this conversation right now. Man, I love. Ooh,
Isn't it good to feel inspired? It's so good. You just like, we're cultivating, we're like stirring this beautiful pot of energy, and it starts to bubble and boil over, and it just fills up your heart and just like expands your perceptions and allows everything you see to change. And you're just literally putting on different perspectives, glasses.
Exactly, yeah.
That's all you're doing. That's all you're doing.
Man, I love the way you're expressing yourself. You're doing it such a good, intelligent, efficient way. Thanks. To imagine some things like so easily.
Yeah.
I don't know, or to get things easily.
Yeah.
Like, okay, now it's all about balance. Goals are cool, but still, don't let them consume you.
Yeah. And it's gentleness. I mean, like...
Gentleness, not judging yourself.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, we're our hardest critics, always. It's so easy to, like... And it takes work. Like, I mean, I've been on a journey of self-love for, like... a long time. I really... Like, I liked myself, of course, but I definitely was like most people and had a lot of, like, self-doubt and didn't like the way that I looked. Didn't like how... Was insecure about my personality and whether people liked me or not. I was very, like... It really mattered to me how people saw me. And I realized it was because I didn't really like myself. And I didn't really know who I was. So I was seeking all of my validation from others, everything. So that's why I was hungry. I was addicted to validation from other people. So then you start, I don't know. It's so easy to get into those places and then like you just don't feel comfortable being alone. You get addicted to always having partners or always having friends and people around you and always being on the move or always any of those things because we don't do the work. And the work is like so important. So that's actually why I went back to the ashram when I went for those 3 months and taught yoga. Remember I told you that whole spiritual experience was because I was sitting at home. I was sitting on my bed and I realized I was kind of in a pretty unhealthy spot. I was drinking a lot and I was working a job that I didn't really like and I was just making money and I just didn't really have any purpose and drive in my life. I was very not aligned with myself. And I was sitting on my bed and I just realized I can't sit here for even 60 seconds without any distractions. I felt very uncomfortable in my own skin. Like I had to pick up my phone and text someone. I had to open my laptop and watch Netflix. I had to call someone. Like I couldn't literally just be with myself. I didn't know how to be. And it just dawned upon me in that moment. And I was like, whoa, if I can't be with myself for 60 seconds, how is anyone ever going to be able to be with me?
Exactly.
How, like that just like was absolutely wild to me. So I literally jumped off the deep end into one of the fucking crazy ass experiences from that to that, which was absolutely wild. And I, mostly because I knew that it was going to be a huge transformation. Obviously, there's no distractions from yourself. You're doing so much inner work and you're being so healthy. You're moving your body every day. You're eating really clean. You're doing your spiritual work. You're meditating. And I was just so curious to meet the girl that came out of an experience of that. I just so wanted to meet the best version of myself because I felt so distant from it. And I was really wanted to meet her. So at the end of the 3 months, I had this really cool moment. I was sitting on the beach watching the sunset. And I had nothing with me. I was literally like so bare, so natural. I had like stained clothes and no makeup, like so raw. And I felt so full. And I was completely alone. And I just realized like I don't need anybody or anything in this exact moment for me to make me feel any full. I am like 100%. And it was like I had nothing and I felt so complete because I did the work, because it's all within. And I just like, it changed everything. So like my goal with teaching is to help people come to that place. And like, it just warms my heart when people wake up out of Shavasana or out of my class and they just look at me with this, they don't say anything and they just look at me with this beautiful stare of like, it's almost like they're saying like, I'm home.
Man, your tears say everything already, man. You're so pure, you're so genuine. You mean it like you say it, and wow.
Yeah.
Fuck, I have to resist my left eye to try right now.
I don't know, it's so intense. Oh man. Yeah.
Man, Okay, that was weird.
That's okay. That's okay.
Oh shit! Wow, wow.
I know, right? Just kind of breathe it in, right? So much fullness.
Things that I was always thinking about was, of course, because it's all about balance. You cannot be 100% something, in my opinion. But still, blah blah. In my opinion, you are 100% impure with yourself, and that was always something that I was looking at other people. I was trying to figure out if they're like satisfied with the way they are or with themselves in general. And when you look exactly, a lot of people aren't, because it's what you told actually before. You're getting always distracted. You're not giving yourself the time to deal with yourself.
No.
And
people don't want to do the work. Because, it's our bodies are really good at holding emotion. They're really good at holding emotion. And we actually have the ability to kind of shove things down into our bodies, like trapped emotion that we don't deal with. And that's why you kind of become numb to it. So when you have an experience, let's say, and you're like, oh, I didn't really feel that. Like, let's say, like, I don't know, a friend dies or like somebody close to you, and you're like, you didn't deal with it. You didn't grieve it. Or you had just this like really intense experience, but you're like, no, it didn't really bother me. It's because you haven't dealt with it, because you shoved it down. You literally just like packed it into a box, into a very tight corner, sealed it, and it's a survival mechanism. Our bodies do, and your body traps it and holds on to it. And it comes out later down on the line in some way or another, because it always does. And it's funny because in yoga, we open parts of our body, our emotions, like I said, get trapped into muscles. That's why it hurts so much, especially it's mostly in our hips, in the top of the neck, right? And so people that are stressed out, their necks are all curled up like this. So much emotions trapped up in there. So I've had classes where, it was a profound amount of healing where, the teacher was just guiding me on a crazy spiritual path journey, and I'm breathing so deeply and I'm so present. And I'm totally like falling and opening up this muscle that has had trapped emotions from something. And I start weeping because it's coming out.
Okay.
Yeah. And like, maybe not during the class, but I've definitely cried in class. But like when I come out, not like full on like crying heavily, but like you just know that something's being released and opened. Because like this, another cool analogy I'm going to give you is when you're doing the work, the spiritual work, it's like cleaning a window. Okay? So imagine a very dirty window. It's totally mucked. There's so much grime, dirt onto it. So you take a wet cloth and you start scrubbing it in circles. It's not going to become clean at first. It's going to get dirtier and dirtier and dirtier. But as you start to clean it and keep going, it's going to become more clear and clear and clear. And then all of a sudden it's open. So when you're doing the work, the shit has to come up. That's the dirt. It's going to come up. That's why lots of people don't like to deal with their stuff, because they know it's painful. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. There's so much wounds that we've like masked, and we don't want to deal with it. But the only way to heal is to bring it up, allow that energy, that emotion, because emotion is literally just trapped energy. Allow it to flow up, deal with it, feel it, and allow it to release and move away. Which is why, like, you notice whenever you're feeling like really sad or like any really strong emotion, if you resist it, it grows bigger and bigger and it doesn't leave you. But as soon as you allow it to settle, and as soon as you kind of just like fall into it and you don't resist it at all, and you're just like, you feel it like a breeze almost, it passes so much quicker because you're just allowing it to move through you. It's energy, right? And it's the same with anything.
Can you please make your own podcast? I would listen to it all over the time.
Just come to my yoga classes, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. But you're the thing, because you just feel it. You have such a bright horizon, a bright mindset. I just learned a lot from you, and I know that I can learn much more from you. Like in the next couple of days, depends on how long are we gonna spend time with each other. Yeah. And I wonder. Absorb everything that you know right now, for real, like, because I don't know what to say. Fuck. I just have to repeat it myself. Like the biggest success in life in general is to be you.
Yeah.
To be in pure with yourself, and you already are. I mean, of course, we're all on our journey, blah, blah, blah. But still, I have this feeling that you're like, okay, let's say then like that, on the right path.
Yeah.
And it feels so great.
You know what it is, man? It's literally just, it's so simple. It's not difficult. All of this is really simple. It's just, it's not resisting. Don't resist anything. Allow everything to flow.
Mm-hmm.
And follow your heart. Follow your fucking heart. Follow your heart. It knows exactly what to do. It knows exactly what it wants. And it's never, ever, ever wrong.
And I'm so fucking grateful for that you said that right now, because that's the reason why we are here, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I quit my job and doing my own things right now, and I explained it yesterday more into detail to Efrat, the girl from Israel, and Barto.
Yeah.
When I was kind of aware of it, fuck, I'm really following this, what I always was feeling. Like, wow, that's shit, like the best feeling ever.
Totally. Totally.
And and the best thing is, you know it. Everybody knows it. Like what you actually want in life, what you actually want to do.
Of course, they're just scared. Fear cripples.
Fear, like because you're maybe gonna fail, because you're caring about what others are gonna say about. Fuck that, man. Really, fuck that. Don't overvalue other people's opinions more than your own.
Well, people want to know. They're scared of the unknown. Everyone is, right? We always want the answers. We want a real, like, live, like, tell me that whatever I'm doing right now, what I'm going to get out of it. Tell me, like, and we do it with everything. We constantly seek gratification for everything they do. If I help you out, I'm going to expect money. If I say something nice to you, a compliment, I'm going to expect you to say thank you. Like, it's always expectation, right? Like, all the time, no matter what we do. So it's really, really hard to just live in life doing something and having absolutely no expectation of the outcome.
Exactly.
And it's really, really fucking hard. And I have struggled with it so much. That is why it took me 4 years to do this trip. 4 years it took me. And I knew it. It was literally, it tickled my heart for 4 fucking years while I was in my relationship, while I was in school, while I was traveling on vacations. And I knew I needed to do this. And I let my mind talk me out of it, because I was like, oh, like, it's a lot of money, and like, it's not really like, what am I going to get out of it? And as soon as I just like totally let that go and just moved right into it and just jumped, I always look at it as like jumping off. I imagine myself, I'm very visual, as you can tell, with like, I'm very visual. But I almost imagine it as like standing at the very edge of a cliff, and just like, there's a black hole, and just like absolutely just like allowing yourself to fall. No resistance, and just knowing that there is something's going to catch you at the bottom, and it's going to hold you, and it's going to give you everything that you need, but you don't know what it is, but it's okay. You just have to trust it. And that trust is the universe. That trust is knowing that whenever you follow your heart and you let go and you don't resist, and you allow the universe to just totally move through you and give you what you need, it always works out. Every time it always works out. And that's my experiences. I've never followed my heart and it not worked out. Every time.
I can tell as well.
Yeah.
And I guess everybody else as
well.
Yeah,
it's just scary. Like, of course you're going to be scared. There's a black hole. You don't know what's at the bottom. Like, you're afraid, especially if you're not used to trusting people and you have trust issues and stuff. Of course it's scary. But what's a life of fear?
I don't know.
Right?
I really don't know.
But
I prefer hope and love over fear. So
yeah.
I'm feeling peace again.
Good.
That's why you should do podcasts, really.
Help people get to hear. Yeah.
Maybe to conclude this whole podcast with a quote of Bruce Lee, my favorite. Let's say philosopher of all time. Man, because one does not want to be disturbed, to be made uncertain, he establishes a pattern of conduct, a pattern of thought, a pattern of relationship to man, etc. Then he becomes a slave to the pattern and takes the pattern to be the real thing. So, in other words, we should not be divided. No, we should be united over by uncertainty, and not divided by fabricated certainty. I guess I said it correctly. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. That's beautiful. I have a quote I want to share too to close it.
Yeah?
Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. In the infinity of life where I am, all is perfect, whole, and complete. I believe in a power far greater than I am that flows to me and around me every moment of every day. I trust in this power, knowing that everything I need will come to me in the proper time, space, and sequence in my life. All is well in my world.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the one and only legend, Jessie. Fuck. Whew.
Stay tuned for, I guess, my new podcast or something.
Hey, really, thank you very much for your time.
Of course.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that so much.
Yeah. No problem.
You're a good one. I told you.
Yeah.